Presented by Mitmac Motors. Find your car online.
So, what's the deal with Mark 1s? Are people still modifying them?
I think it's a bit of a, I think it's the next thing to have. Mark 1 Escorts no more. 300 grand for a proper car. I think the guys that's got the Mark 1s now got to hang on to them. We saw after COVID what really happened with the Mark 1s. That guy having his C63 or his Golf 7R, things didn't go so lacquer after COVID for a lot of people. And the statistics have proven now. The guy says, hey, let me take Granny's car, Golf 1, buy the Wi-Fi iX35, and he plays with the Golf 1, and everyone's got one now. And nowadays, it's expensive. You want to start off everyone wants Mark 1 with ABF. A decent Mark 1 starts at 50 grand, an ABF motor starts at 30 grand. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to build a Golf 1. When you're done, you're sitting with a 100C 70 grand build. Then the guy rather just buys his Golf 6 GTI, and go for it.
So, you're in the heart of brake pain, eh?
Yes. I've shaved my mullet. Yeah. The cars are quick here, I'll be honest with you, the cars are quick. What we see coming past them during the day and what we see going to Rock Race, where we know the guys are from here, and there's some quick cars. But my clients are more from, it's more from Benoni side, Roodepoort side. I've moved here, I didn't want to interfere with any other workshops here, I had my clients, so.
Between 20 valve and 16 valve, do you get more requests for 20 valve stuff?
You know what, funny that you asked that, everyone's 16 valve hearted. Everyone wants a 16 valve, including myself. We love them. A lot of friends still have them. They believe in them. They make more power. They believe strictly in that. We just see that it's the cheapest motor to buy, and it's the easiest to modify, and they're fairly reliable without changing too much parts, to get them strong. So we just go for the 20 valve. That's the cheapest thing at the moment, and that's why we always have a workshop filled with 20 valves.
Shortage of motors?
No, not at all. Not on 20 valves. 16 valve for sure. There's just no parts. You don't get 16 valves anywhere.
Why is it? This one's neater.
Yeah, just as Jono's car, Jonathan.
That's prettier.
Yeah, not pretty enough for him. Yeah, he'll come back next week and say, no, keep it another week, change another 100 things. He's perfectionist, and we like that. We love that in a client being straightforward. Even if he's not happy with something, change it. It's a GT. It's got a regional mileage. I think it's sitting at 57,000 on the clock. I know the car since it was, standard back in the day. Okay. And so this is basically a 2.1 20 valve. It's running a set of all-out throttles on it, 45 millimeter. Same thing, it's got a set of Kent cams in this one. Okay. Very expensive stuff, valve springs, rev key, things like that. I think the last one we saw was 142 kilowatt on the wheels, and also running 50-50 ethanol.
What times do you think something like this would make down the quarter mile?
No, I think these guys, whenever you tell the guy, hey, your car's good for a 13, they laugh at you and say it must be much quicker. Until people get to the track, they change their attitude very, very, very quickly. We've seen 100,000 Golfs get to the track and their battles around a 15 or a 14. Yeah. But when you ask them on Facebook, they're the quickest on paper, so it's the standard procedure. But I think something like this will probably run, in this trim, will probably run a 13. Like a 13.5, 13.4 maybe, if the guy gets off the line properly, yeah.
This is the other one.
That's right.
This one looks a bit pretty. It looks familiar though. I think I've seen it doing the rounds on Facebook.
Yeah, car's super quick. It's this is the next thing to beat on the street, I'll be honest with you. Plus the driver is super quick.
Is it?
Yeah, he's quicker than DSG, this guy, we always give him nonsense, and we tell him he'll be the first guy ever with a DSG to slip a gear. Yeah, so Davy Bro, he's the owner. It used to be Willem's car. Willem built the car. We're just there to help him with the little touches, the tuning, dialing of cams. It's here so we can make refresh the engine. Yeah. It's done, I don't know how many, I rather don't say kilometers, it's won so many races, I'd rather say. I think 1,000,001, So car runs at 12.6, day in, day out. Running F-gas, super strong, very
20
fast.
Valve? What power
2.2. This one, we've seen a 148 kilowatt. We've seen it at a 148 kilowatt.
And what fuel?
F-gas. You're running F-gas, very, very staunch motor. I think it was built by Freek de Pre from FNS Performance, Sean's father. No, it's very powerful.
When you say high comp, what are we looking at?
No, 14.5 compression ratio. Yeah, so it's barely, it's just there. The F-gas is just good enough. Yeah, next thing, methanol. I'm hoping that's the way we're going to head in the future. It's actually a discussion for next week. Yeah, the plans is to try and get the car on the 11s as well.
I see 20 valve motors. You make them 2.2s. ABFs, can you do it?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I think the 16 valve, 20 valve, same thing. I think the guys have tried more tricks with the 16 valves back in the day because, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they were a lot cheaper, and everyone, South Africa was in a better spot for us, to modify these things. You simply can't take a set of 20 valve cams and just have them reprofiled. You have to import them or buy them from wherever in the country that brings them in, or go to Van der Linde. They make brilliant camshafts as well for them, and it's expensive. So if you don't have the cams, you're nowhere. And it's a very, very big thing. With the 16 valves, you could actually get a 300-degree cam to work. You can get a 310-degree ration cam to work if you know what you're doing. 20 valves just don't respond to the big cams, So they sort of get to 300 duration and they stop. After we've tried the big ones, they're not the high RPM motors like the 16 valves. But they are robust. They are very, very reliable.
And work-wise on the bottom ends, make them 2.2?
Same as the 16 valve, just different pocketing on pistons and stuff. Much of a muchness. Yeah, we use a TDI crank that we stroke. We offset grind the TDI crank, use a long block. And we usually go for the BMW piston or a Nissan piston or something like that.
You've cut your teeth on these, huh? You've paid your school fees.
No, sure. Yeah. We'll get to my car later. We had some tears as well. Yeah. For sure.
So, 20 valve, 16 valve, which is your favorite?
20 valve. New school FSI 16 valve. But we've seen so many of them fail and break, and rockers climbing off, and your motor failures. I think the RPM problem with them, they just don't stop. Yes, the guys are going to hate me for them, but they have much of a copy of a K24, like the Honda series cylinder heads and stuff.
Say it again?
It's very similar to the big Honda stuff.
Okay, say it again.
No. They make power and they rev, and we've seen the strongest one I've had, Rainer Marburg. He's one that he used to drive every day, go to school and back. That made 160 kilowatt on the wheels on basically pump fuel. We revved it to almost 9,000 RPM. So the FSI is the next big thing, but cat cams, retainer springs, you're starting with 50k before you even have a motor. So it just puts everyone off the list.
What power do you think you can make with something like that?
No, 200s plus.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're hoping we're going to get there, but I'm sure we'll get. I hope. Let's see. Yeah.
Wow, man, 200.
Yeah.
FSI motor.
Yes.
Fancy cat stuff.
Yes.
You reckon 200?
I think so.
With what fuel?
No, that'll obviously be with proper methanol,
Okay.
Can't do that with F-gas or anything like that. But considering Reino had low compression, he did use F-gas, but that car was capable of doing it on pump fuel every day in, day out. And he made 160 without the big mods.
I think someone's going to call you for that FSI stuff.
Good. I got stock.
Things that break.
Yes.
The gearbox.
Yes.
What's the more trustworthy gearbox for these type of applications?
They haven't made one yet. The one that goes fast is the weakest one, So we hate the O2Js because they can't find gears, They're stronger. Then everyone goes for the big Golf 5 GTI gearbox, and that's a beautiful box, but it weighs 90 kilograms, So I think the Golfs are light, and if you've got a tire with a bit of flex in it and stuff, you spend a little bit of money, and they're not that bad, But also not, you can't go too big on the horsepower on them. You can't build a 200 kilowatt car with a O2J gearbox, Then you're looking for trouble.
What breaks on those boxes?
I think the shafts are just too weak. They literally push out of each other. It's just too weak. So if you get a straight cut ratio, the straight cut helps. The shafts are a bit thicker, they're a bit stronger. Yeah. The casings, remember they're only made for 70 kilowatt on the flywheel, and the guys make that in lag mode. So yeah, but they're good. They shift. They're lightweight. It stops the rest of the gearbox. The synchros are good. They're fine. Even when we do endurances on the track or circuit racing cars, we see that the oil temp just gets to them. They get too hot, and the guys coming out of corners with a lot of traction, they hurt the boxes. The third gears are very weak, and then they have to go for something else, and then they just have to work around the gear changes. Yeah. We get quite a few of them. there's some interest in them. Some guys buy them. The problem is, again, they are collector's items. So you buy a scrappy one for 100 grand, and then you've got to refresh everything. They are silly expensive to rebuild when it comes to chains and sprockets and things like that, and pistons and that. This one was very weak. This one, we actually had to really help it to just get in the 90 kilowatts. We flow the heads and do the cams and the exhaust systems, inductions and things like that. The standard managements on these things are brilliant. The problem is they're so old that they simply don't work anymore. So we just upgrade, put the management systems on dictator on this one. And this one's 126 kilowatt now.
Jeez.
Yeah, it actually goes well on the road. Yeah, VR6s came out with the long ratio gearboxes. I think that's why they respond to turbocharging so well. It's got 6 cylinders for boost, for spooling up. It's happy to use it to fit a big turbo onto them. They've got good brakes, good suspension. The car can handle the power.
What torque did this one make?
I think it was 215, somewhere around there.
215 newtons.
Yeah, Newton meters. But for such a wide power band, it's got torque from start to go, and that's what's so nice about them. The 20 miles go to 200,
Okay.
They go to 200 meters.
So it's more or less the same, is it?
Yeah, and no. The 20 miles make nothing under 5,000. This thing's got grunt from the minute you let go of the clutch. And so that's a VR6 thing. This is the thing you want to drive with day in, day out. You can literally do if you look after the 1,000,000 kilos without opening the motor.
Yeah.
And that's what's so brilliant about them.
Has no one dumped a proper race VR6 motor into a Mark 1 before?
No, I call it's like me trying to do the comrades. I can be fit enough for it, but I'm just simply not going to stop on the end. They're heavy, they're overweight. They're overweight kettles. They take 10 liters of water. The block weighs. It's heavier. It's almost the same weight as a 2JZ. So putting them in a little Golf 1 front suspension or in whatever car, I don't think it'll handle. I just think the motor's too heavy.
Would you say that any Golf setup that has more than 150 kilowatts is pretty strong?
You don't find them. I can count on my left hand the amount of Golf that aspirated makes over 150. The guys that think they've got them, yes, when you go to, especially on Facebook and that, the guys always make 170, 180, whatever you hear. But I do believe that is, that's coastal dynos, or it's free-giving dynos. I think if you look in the East Rand, the amount of dynos, all the well-known guys, those dynos are very, very much of a muchness. If you take a car from the one and you go to the 25th dyno, they're all within 5 kilowatt from each other, and those are the readings we like to use. So like a standard ABF by us will make around 96 kilowatt, 96, maybe 100 if it's nice and strong. And for the guys to get that to go over 135, it's quite a lot of money and quite a lot of work. They battle to do that, yeah. So if you've got 150 plus, you're one of the big boys, that's for sure.
If you take these cars down to the coast, what do they make?
Yeah, everyone, that's a big question. I do know a friend of mine had an ABF and a Golf 1. Best time ever, Friday night at Tarleton, was a 15.2. And they took that car directly from Tarleton to Desi, and the car ran a 13.6. So it was a massive time. However, when the turbo guys go down there, our big turbo cars go down to Desi, they tell us, listen, those Durban guys are not slow, they are super quick. And I think with the turbocharging it's different. The guys are just wheel spinning, and they're not putting the power down. That's the usual thing. 400 kilowatt just doesn't go 9 seconds like it's supposed to. And that's what we're sitting with, The NA, at least you can put the power down and they go. And if you look at the majority of cars running very, very fast times, they're all in Durban. They're all coastal, Cape Town, Killarney, that side of the world. This side, they always say, come here and race us. No one ever wants to come here and race us on our own circuits. We use Tarleton as a benchmark because I know that's a proper place to go. Yes. No, I think DSG is the thing that everyone's gonna go that route. It's the quickest thing. Look, I like something with a clutch pedal, I'll be honest. It is a bit in the blood, like I'm an aspirated fan as well, but it's the same thing, I'm old school, I can't live aspirated forever with manual gears and stuff. Everyone that wants to go fast is gonna have to go to DSG. The easiest at this stage will be the ECU Masters. Reino has done a couple of them already, Reino Myburg. And his one's running 4-wheel drive DSG FSI in a Golf 1, and he's just done the one for Jaco. Now I can tell you, Jaco's car is a full street car with subwoofer and everything, and we borrowed him a set of slicks and he ran 11.4 on pump fuel at Tarleton, the same day I did a good time with my car. Turbocharged, yeah, with a 16-valve ABF and stuff, and the gearbox is just so amazing, you're going to have to get a proper gearbox with a proper Haldex controller and stuff on it. You still have to do a file, as far as I know, on the gearbox. and then they use the ECU masters. You have to have a wheel speed sensor, and there's a couple of things that you have to add, to get the
not just final.
No, it's the cheapest part is buying the gearbox nowadays. The gearbox, the flywheel, starter will set you back at about 18 grand, and that's with the Haldex and everything. So that's come down in price. But then the ECU master start, and then the rest start. You have to buy this and that, and the setup and the time, and that's where it becomes expensive. I'll put that up there.
Dictator. You're a big Dictator installer.
You know what? Dictator, we came along from the first Dictator, from where there wasn't even a name yet. Chris Dix came to my old house I was renting there in Benoni, and we had some coffee, and I think we had a couple of guinea pigs, and I was the one running around every day with this big PC board in my car without having a name on it, and we did some tests, and then they eventually hit the market with the thing, and we still got it. And talking to Dictator, it's a personal thing. Me and Chris, yes, he's helped me out so much in life. He gave me a workshop for 3 months without charging me rent, just to get me on my feet. And when they had a break-in, he didn't want me to pay for the windows. He paid for the windows. And when COVID came, he didn't want any money for rent. Big Dictator fan.
So how did 8 Valve come about?
We never really had a name. We were just going to the circuit, and we were racing. And from street racing, everyone knew me as the Sorrel, and then we went to the racing, and Craig Murray put a big name out there for us in that circuit, with the VW Challenge, and he was super, super quick. And then eventually, I became busy, and we had to put a name, and we just registered, and everyone called me Mr. 8 Valve because we're doing 8 valves, and we called it 8V Performance, or 8 Valve Performance. We lost a lot of work because I think we only do 8 valves. And then we get a couple of people think we only do V8s, So, but I think we should be 20 valve performance nowadays, No, we do anything, any VW, but that's how the name started, My dad's my hero. I'll tell you why. I did my trade test as Delta, so I'm an Opel mechanic. And then I wanted to go on my own, and my dad said, listen, you're stuffing around 4 months at home. If you don't make a plan, I'm going to look for work for you. And I came home with a bucket and bolts Golf 1. And my dad said, what is the plan? I said, well, I'm going to take my pension money and I'm going to build this race car, and I'm going to go to Jet Park Dices. We're going to win some races, and I'm going to make money racing. And my mom lost, she nearly went bald, pulling out her hair out of the skull. My dad said, hey, listen, the Lighty's got a plan. Let him do his thing, and let's see. And, he supported me from the first one that I've done. He still supports me, and we're still doing it. But my dad builds anything, man, from a DSG, from a 4-speed gearbox, everything to the DSG. See, we don't like to touch the autos, really. He does tricks on the Golf gearbox that I think VW hasn't thought of, So
there's all Golfs here, there's no Hondas.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
But at least we did get you a little gift.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Let me get your gift for you.
Yeah, please, that'll be nice.
Got me a gift. Probably a golf piston or something.
Awesome. Closest you'll get to Honda in this workshop for now.
What do you think? I'll wear this with pride
100%.
at all Honda meets.